Hi everyone, welcome back to the Math Olympiad preparations. This is Mrs. Venti speaking. In today's video, we are going to work on the Round 1 2022 paper. This is part 2 of that paper. We are going to cover questions 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's get started. Question 6 says, what is the sum of the two values of x which satisfy the equation bracket x minus 10 close bracket squared is equal to 2022 squared. Now, before we answer this question, let's just quickly talk about exponents. If I say, what is the square root of 9 equal to? You would automatically answer 3. And that would be correct, but that is not the full answer. Because if I say 3 times 3, I get the answer. Oh, my pen is not working. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. I agree with you. But what about minus 3 times minus 3? Minus times minus is plus, and 3 times 3 is 9. So the answer to the square root of 9 is actually plus and minus 3. Okay? So, in other words, 3 plus and minus 3 squared is equal to 9. That is what I'm trying to get across. So the same principle is what's going to apply to this. What we're starting out with is we have x minus 10 squared is equal to 2022 squared. Now I'm saying that when I square root both sides, I can take away the square sign, and what I'm going to be left with is I'm going to have x minus 10 on one side, and on the other side I'm going to have plus minus 2022. Now again, this is connected to that. Okay, so how do we move on from here? I'm going to separate this plus minus into two lines. So let's do the first line as a plus, and I'm going to say, let's call it x1. Okay, so our first equation is going to be x1 minus 10 is equal to positive 2022. And then let's do the second one, and we're going to call it x2 minus 10 is equal to negative 2022. Now what I want to do is I want to add everything up. Okay, so it's going to be x1 plus x2, and now because I had minus 10 minus 10, I'm going to have minus 20, and that is going to be equal to 0. 2022 minus 2022 is 0. I hope we're in agreement. So my next step is going to be to take this 20 to the other side, right? So I'm going to say plus 20 on both sides. So what do I have? I have x1 plus x2 is equal to 20. All right. I hope this made sense to you. So let's go back to the question. The question says, what is the sum of the two values of x? We have two values of x. We have x value 1 and x value 2, and we've added them together. So we've gotten the sum of the two values, and we said that the answer is 20. So the answer to this question is going to be E, 20. Question 7 says, if x is greater than 0, so what does this mean? X is greater than 0, it means that x needs to be a positive number. If x is a positive number and x multiplied by x plus 1 in brackets is equal to 6, what is the value of x plus 1 times x plus 2? Okay, so two ways of doing this. You can use elimination, or you can use multiplication and doing the expansion. So let's do the first one. Let's use the way of elimination. So the only way to know if elimination works is by trying it. It's literally trial and error and saying, okay, what if I put this in? What if I put that in? What if I put that in? And maybe you get right, maybe you don't get it right. So let's start with x plus 1 is equal to 6. That's the statement we're trying to prove true. So if I said x is 1, then I would have 1 plus 1, which is literally going to be equal to 1 times 1, which equals 1. So what does this mean? This means x does not equal 1. Okay, let's try another one. Let's say 2 plus 1 is equal to 2 times 3, which equals to 6, which means x is equal to 2. That makes sense. So this is, we can do 3 again and then continue. So if I said 3 plus 1 is equal to 3 times 4, which equals to 12. So x does not equal 3. And you can continue with 4. 4 plus 1 is equal to 4 times 5, which equals to 20. X is not equal to 20. X does not equal to 4. But we do know that x does equal 2. So this is where we're going to be at. Okay. So based on elimination, we have concluded that x is equal to 2. Check. So this is one way of doing it. If you did not know, you could just like plug in numbers and say, what if x is 1? What if x is 2? What if x is 3? How do I get to a point where this statement is true? Which number makes it true? Okay. Another way of figuring out the value of x is to say, if I have x plus 1 equals 6. I'm going to expand my bracket. I'm going to say x squared plus x is equal to 6. And then I'm going to move the 6 over to the other side. So I'm going to say minus 6 on both sides. So what I'm left with is x squared plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to do factorizing the trinomial. So I'm going to have two brackets. And my factors for the first one is going to be x and x. And then my factors for the second, factors of 6 is 1 and 6, 3 and 2. I want 1 in the middle term, so I'm going to take 3 and 2 because they're closer together, 3 and 2. In order for me to get plus 1, I'm going to say plus 3 minus 2 gives me plus 1. And then plus 3 times minus 2 gives me minus 6. So once I'm at this point, I can make two statements. I can say, just follow my logic here. If I say two numbers multiplied by each other is equal to 0, that means the first number can be 0. 0 times an unknown number is equal to 0, or an unknown number times 0 is equal to 0. In other words, one or both of the two brackets must be equal to 0. So we're going to work with that principle of saying one of the two brackets are equal to 0. I'm going to say x plus 3 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. So if x plus 3 equals 0, then x is equal to minus 3. Because what did I do? I took this 3 over by subtracting it. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Take the minus 2 over, and I'm going to say or x is equal to positive 2. Now our statement says that x must be a positive number. That means that x cannot be minus 3 because it is a negative number, which means that x can only be positive 2. So these are two ways to figure out that x is actually 2. But again, this does not answer my question. This is just getting the information in order to answer the question. So now that I know that x is equal to 2, the statement says, what is the value of x plus 1 times x plus 2? So x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 2 times 2 plus 1. 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 2. 2 plus 1 is 3 multiplied by 4, and the answer is going to be 12. So if x is a positive number and x times x plus 1 is equal to 6, what is the value of x plus 1 times x plus 2? And the answer is 12. The answer is going to be C. Question 8. A rectangular poster's length is 2022 to the 6th root, and its width is the 12th root of 2022. The area of the poster is the nth root of 2022. What is the value of n? So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with area, right? So I know that the area of a rectangle is going to be equal to length times breadth, or in this case we're using the word width. Okay, now I'm going to substitute the values in, and I'm going to say length is 6th root 2022 multiplied by width, which is 12th root 2022, and the answer is going to be nth root 2022. That is using the formula and substituting the values into the formula. Now let's use the laws of exponent. When I am saying something is a root of another, what you need to understand is that this value on the outside of your surd sign or your root sign is the denominator in an exponent. So if I have 2022, I am going to have an exponent of 1 over 6, where the 6 comes from here and the 1 is on the inside of the square root sign. The same applies for all three of them. So I'm going to have 2022 on the other two as well. And my exponent on the right is going to be 1 over 12. And on the left hand side, it's going to be 1 over n. That is a rewriting the equation not as surds but as exponents. Now, what do I know from the laws of exponents? The laws of exponents says that when I multiply and I have the same base, then I add the exponents. So I'm going to keep my base as 2022, and I'm going to add the exponents 1 over 6 plus 1 over 12. All right. So this is the last line we had. Let's work with this exponent section. If I say 1 over 6 plus 1 over 12, I want to get the same base. So I'm going to use 12 as the common denominator. 6 will be 2 over 2, so it'll be 2 plus 1, which gives me 3 over 12. If I simplify that, that becomes 1 over 4. Meaning that on my equation, let's go back to this one. I've got 2022 to the power of 1 over n is equal to 2022 to the power of 1 over 4, which then in essence means 1 over n is equal to 1 over 4, and n is equal to 4. That makes sense, right? Let's go over it again. We used the formula for area, then we substituted the values as given in the statement. We changed our surd forms into exponents in order to make them easier to see. Then we use the law of exponent that says when you multiply, you add the exponents because we have the same base. So I have the same base, I add the exponents, and what I get is 1 over n is equal to 1 over 4, because I did this fraction. And since 1 over n is equal to 1 over 4, n is equal to 4. Back to the question. The answer to the question is, what is the value of n alone? N is equal to 4. Be careful now. Don't say that n is equal to 1 over 4, because it is 1 over n. So if I went back to this one and I wrote this as a square root sign, this would technically become 2022 square root of n, where n is replaced with the number 4. So it's the 4th root of 2022. Okay, question number 9. Question number 9 is a little bit big, but the question says calculate the value of z, which is that one there. Now, what do you see? I see two shapes, right? I see a four-sided shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is a quadrilateral. And I see a three-sided shape, which is 1, 2, 3, that is a triangle. And I see a relationship between these letters. I'm sure you're in agreement there, right? So let's move this out of the way and let's figure this out. The rule for quadrilaterals says the sum of the angles in a quad is equal to 360 degrees. The rule for a triangle says the sum of the angles in a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. I'm going to use both of those. So let's go back here and we say, okay, in my quadrilateral, I have 65 and 125. So let's put that there. I got 65 plus 125. Then I've got 2x. And I've got 2y. And all of those is equal to 360 degrees when added together. The sum of all four angles must equal 360 degrees because it's a quadrilateral. So once I've got that, I'm going to simplify, and I am going to 125 plus 65 is going to give me 190 plus 2x plus 2y equals 360. Now I'm going to say minus 360 on both sides. Not 360, minus 190 on both sides. So 2x plus 2y is equal to 360 minus 190, 170 degrees. Divide both sides by 2. So x plus y is equal to 85 degrees. This is the first step that I need you to understand. In our image, we can see that our triangle is equal to x plus y plus z. So we're saying x plus y plus z is equal to 180 degrees. But on the left-hand side, in terms of our yellow, we have said that x plus y is equal to 85. So if x and y is 85, then we can just say, so what did we say in the yellow? X and y is 85. So I'm saying 85 plus the z is equal to 180. Okay. So what do? I say minus 85 on both sides. So z is going to be equal to 95 degrees, if I'm not mistaken. 180 minus 85 is going to be 95 degrees. And that's the answer to the question. So if we attempt to look at the question paper again, our answer is going to be A, 95. Hold on. 95. Okay, sorry about that. The question is just too big for the screen. Okay, next question. For how many positive integers that are greater than 10 and less than 1000 is the product of the digits equal to 6? Let's figure this out. They are saying that we are working with something that is greater than 10. So greater than 10. And then they're saying it is less than 1000. Less than 1000. So if I'm saying greater than 10, this means that I'm talking about two-digit numbers, right? 2 digits. And then 1000 is 4 digits. But 999 is 3 digits. So less than 1000 means 3 digits, right? So I'm looking at numbers that are 2 digits and 3 digits only. Okay, that's the first thing you need to understand. The second thing is that they are all only positive numbers. So that's great news for us. We are only working with positive numbers. Fine. Please stop that. Only positive numbers. Now they are saying For how many positive integers that are more than 10, less than 1,000, okay, for how many positive 2-digit and 3-digit numbers is the product of the digits equal to 6? So before I answer this question, I'm going to say the product of 6, or the factors of 6. 6 is equal to 6 times 1. 6 is also equal to 2 times 3. Those are the only digits when they multiplied with each other that are equal to 6. So what 2-digit numbers can you make out of these pairs? The first one I will say is 16. Okay, 16 will give me the equation 1 times 6. So 1 times 6 is 6, and as a 2-digit number it's 16. The opposite is also true. If I say 6 times 1, that gives me 61. Those are greater than 10 2-digit numbers. When I multiply them, they equal 6. Same thing applies for 2 times 3 and 3 times 2. I'm sure you're in agreement. So this means that I've got 23 and I've got 32. In total, I have got 4 numbers that are 2-digit numbers. When I multiply the digits to each other, I get a product of 6. Now let's look at 3-digit numbers. Okay, so 3-digit numbers, using those, I've got 6 and 1, 2 and 3. How can I make 3 digits out of that? I can multiply them all by 1. So if I take this first one, I can say 1 times 6 times 1. That gives me 161. That's a 3-digit number. If I multiply them all, I get 6. I can also say 6 times 1 times 1. That gives me 611. I can also say, but wait, now I'm not done with this 6-1 combination. So notice that I have the 6 in the first place and in the second place. I can put the 6 in the third place, and if I do that, then I will have 1 times 1 times 6. So that means I've got 116. Those are 3 different 3-digit numbers that are all equal to 6 if I multiply the digits with each other. All right, let's do the 2 and the 3. Okay, so I can put the 2 in the first place. I can say 2 times 3 times 1. And keeping the 2 in the first place, I can say 2 times 1 times 3. That works out. So this gives me 231 and 213. Alternatively, I can put the 3 in the front, so I can say 3 times 2 times 1 and 3 times 1 times 2. So 3 times 2 times 1 gives me 321 and 312. Over here, I've got 4 digits that are all similar. Is that our only option? No, I think not. We still have some more that we could do. So now I've got 2, 2, 3, 3 in the front, right? But what I don't have is I don't have the 1 in the front. I have 1 in the second and the third, the second and the third. What if we put the 1 in the first place? So if I said 1, I can say 1 times 2 times 3, and I can say 1 times 3 times 2. So now I've got all 3 digits in the first place. I've got 1 in the first place, 2 in the first place, 3 in the first place. I've got 1 in the second place, 2 in the second place, 3 in the second place. And I've got 1 in the third place, 2 in the third place, and 3 in the third place. So all of them have got different spaces. So for the blues, I have actually got 6 different combinations that are possible. For the greens, I've got 3 different combinations. So how do I answer this question? The question is, how many positive integers greater than 110, less than 1000, is the product of the digits equal to 6? So I've got 4 yellow ones. I've got 4 yellow ones. I've got 3 green ones. And I've got 6 blue ones. If I add them all together, I get a total of 13, and that's my final answer. So the answer to this question is C. There are 13 options available. So we have now reached the conclusion of part 2, which is questions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I hope this made sense to you. If you have any questions, hit me up on WhatsApp and I will answer your questions. Again, work super duper hard. I know that you can do this. I have full confidence in you. Wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye bye.